Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Minus 20 Podcast Hot Dish. This is our inaugural episode of The Dish. It's our plan to make The Dish a regular, maybe semi-regular, peek behind the scenes here at Minus 20. And today's episode is a special one, not just because it's our first, but we're going to be giving you a look at how we develop our characters before we begin our main campaign. First, a little note, we're recording this, as I mentioned, before we begin the campaign, Vigilante, so our characters aren't yet fully fleshed out. So what you'll hear today is a workshop of sorts where we discuss what we've come up with and we'll do a little refining on the fly, hopefully without any spoilers. But before we begin that, I want to point out to the listeners that as we record this, our first ever hot dish here in the Twin Cities of Minnesota, it is pretty damn close to minus 20, as we say. What is it, like 11 below with a 30 below with wind chill?
Yeah, I think with wind chill, we are definitely there.
Absolutely.
Or the feels like temperature is definitely the below 20.
Absolutely. So I don't know. I see it as a good sign. It is minus 20. So let's go around. I want everyone to say hi to the mic. And also, I want to get your ideas on how you guys keep saying when it gets this cold, because I'm sure as hell not going out ice skating in this weather. Holly, say hey.
Hey, friends. My name's Holly. I've lived in St. Paul. I moved here from Phoenix. So kind of one extreme to the other. And I am a total homebody. So the cold, I don't mind it. First of all, I turn the faucet on a little bit so the pipes don't freeze, because that is something that will happen here. I also have a large dog and a number of cats. And so usually if I'm on the couch under a blanket knitting or watching TV, I have lots of little, heating pads curled up on me.
Mammal pile.
Mammal pile.
A mammal pile.
Cats, as I'm sure many of you know, are really good at finding the warmest and coziest spot in the house. And if I'm sitting still, it's usually me. So yeah, I'm kind of go into hibernate mode. And as our ancestors used to at this time of year, I stay inside, I read, I bake, I knit, I
repair the fishing line.
Exactly. Darn the socks, that kind of thing.
I damn them.
Damn the socks.
The socks.
I try not to go outside unless I have to, but that's pretty much it.
Wise decision.
Yep.
John is here.
Oh, hey, how's it going?
Good.
So, hi, I'm John. I already forgot what we were going to talk about other than the cold.
We're going to talk hot dish. Yeah, do you make hot dishes? Is that your secret to getting through this cold?
Oh, gosh, no. So I'm a transplant as well. I grew up in Detroit, Michigan, and lived in Chicago for a long time. So you would think being Midwest, it's all the same thing, right? No. Minnesota, they have this thing called hot dish, which is basically anything that's warm and put into a casserole. And then they have salad, which it doesn't have to involve actual like salad or vegetables. It's just anything that's cold. Those are your two options, hot dish and salad. Lots of other weird things that they got out here that you would not see in other places, but we'll talk about those probably some other day.
Absolutely.
As far as like how to deal with the cold, well, one, we're going to definitely do the homebody thing. That's what you got to do. But I'll give credit to Minnesota for the amount of like indoors public space type thing, where if you need to get out, there's a lot of places that you can go, you can hang out. Sadly, one of them is the Mall of America, but hey, man, it gets the job done when you need to. And then the big thing is years ago when we were in Chicago and we had snow apocalypse, I decided I was done with the whole cold thing. And I bought the Arctic Research Station parka. Makes me look like a complete fool, but I can be warm in just about anything. So I highly recommend.
Nice. James?
Hey there. A little bit about me and how I handle the cold is I'm part of a hockey family. Can't see this through the podcast, but I have my Minnesota PWHL Championship Frost team jersey on today.
Go Frost.
Exactly. If you haven't had a chance to watch any PWHL, I highly recommend it. That'll be our plug. Also, give us money if you guys want to sponsor us later on.
Potential sponsor.
Yeah, exactly.
Minnesota Frost.
We'll get minus 20 on the jerseys.
Oh, that would be so awesome.
Right. But yeah, most of my free time that isn't spent gaming is spent on the ice with my kid. And if it's too cold like this, we play hockey inside. If it's, in that regular 20s, above 20, then we'll be out on the ice just doing some pond hockey. So
nice. Did you play hockey in high school and stuff?
No, actually, I didn't start playing hockey until I got to college. So I went to the University of North Dakota, which is a very big hockey school. But my daughter gets lucky. She started skating.
Oh, cool.
Probably when she was 3. So
she's playing hockey?
Yeah, she's playing hockey now.
Oh, that's so cool.
Oh, yeah. So
nice. Yeah, I go to the Gophers games sometimes. The women's hockey, especially. It's so much fun to watch.
Yeah, I think I got tickets 2 weeks from now to go. And yeah we're looking forward to that.
I know people complain about Minnesota sports team not winning, but I don't know, man. Like, it's all these women's teams that kick ass in the city.
Oh, yeah. Let's say you got
The Lynx. And
Frost win in the very first inaugural season. You've got the Lynx that have multiple championships. No, Minnesota can bring them. It's just the men need to bring up the game a little bit.
Yeah. The women have plenty of banners hanging from their rafters, too.
Yep.
Diana, hey.
It's
say
me,
hi. Yay.
Diana. Hi.
Hi, Diana.
Winter, the topic of the day. I think the best feeling about winter is when you're all cozied up inside. And Holly already talked about baking, reading. There's tons of fun hobbies. We love to play video games. And so usually we have our fireplace cranked up and we're cozied up with our two shelties playing video games.
Do you have a particular favorite? Do you guys play together? Or?
Sometimes we have a couple favorite. Path of Exile, Diablo. We get into those kinds. We've done our time with League of Legends, but I have a guilty pleasure of playing RuneScape. For anybody who plays RuneScape, the goal is to hit level 99 in skills. And I have to brag because all my skills are 95 or higher. It's pretty cool.
So, I mean, it's an old school game. How long have you been playing? How long have you had
12 years.
Wow. That's crazy. I mean,
if you can call it playing, I don't know. There's so many jokes about it. But yeah, that's my guilty pleasure is playing RuneScape.
Oh, cool. I just got Baldur's Gate 3, which is a pretty good game. Although, I just say I'm annoyed by the rule set. I'm like, the action economy is terrible. We play, of course, Pathfinder 2. So I got used to the Pathfinder 2 rule. So it's like, I'm frustrated not having anything to do with a bonus action.
Yeah, there you go.
I just want 3 actions.
We've played that game too. We like it a lot.
But the characters, voice acting, everything about that game is so nice. And I love how they augmented the 5e rules with Divinity Original Sin rules, right? Like elevation and throwing barrels, and they have bleed damage in the game.
See, you're a gamer nerd too.
I am a little. I'm definitely a gamer nerd. That's something I definitely do when it gets super cold. My kids are grown up and out of the house now in college, so now I can go get the games that I used to wait 10 years to play. Like I got Witcher 3 like 4 years ago or 3 years ago, for the first time. I got a great deal on it. I get it for like $10, so I can't complain. But,
love it.
Yeah, I'm a big RPG fan. Cool. All right, let's motor on. We're going to talk about your characters for Vigilante, and I know you've been working hard on them. So what we're going to do here, we're going to go around the table. I'm going to ask you, your character's name, class, all that stuff. Give us the basics, and then the group is going to pepper you with questions about your character. Maybe draw it out, maybe ask you some things maybe you haven't thought about yet. I'm going to I always pick on Holly first, but Holly, we've talked about your character quite a bit. I think it's looking pretty good. So why don't we start with you? Give us, who's your character?
My character is Serafina, and she's a human oracle. In the story, she is the midwife for the district. She also helps out her mom, who has an apothecary shop, and she's basically always looking for ways to help other people. She's very attuned to when someone is sick or in need.
So what is your character's defining personality trait?
Well, her daytime persona is definitely about service to other people. It's about being kind and nurturing and generous and always putting others first. However, I think someone who does that all the time and doesn't make room for their negative emotions, that causes problems. It's going to come out. And that's exactly the role that her vigilante persona fills. It's everything that she stuffs down during the day that she sees as negative emotion is going to come out.
My character would know this, but I don't know. Is there a name for your apothecary?
Ooh, I am going to go back to a little shop that my sister and I used to go to when I was a kid in Tempe, Arizona on Mill Avenue called Lotions and Potions. And you could go and get, this is how old I am, but you could get, they had a base lotion and you could pick the essential oils and they would fragrance it for you and things like that. So, maybe something along those lines, but I haven't actually thought about that yet. So
Lotions and Potions is amazing.
Yeah, that's TTRPG style naming so well.
Now,
you want to pencil that? I'll pencil that too.
Okay, sounds good.
I'm penning it into these notes.
All right, you heard it here first, folks. The GM penning in.
Now, your character also has a child, right? You want to tell us about her?
So Serafina was a teen mom. She's about 22 now. So her daughter, Amani, is 5. And Amani everyone in the district knows her in the ward. She's been accompanying Serafina on house calls since she was a little baby in a little baby sling. And now she knows enough, knows her way around, and she runs around making deliveries for grandma. And She has a nickname, Echo, because she learned to talk by listening to the adults around her talking. So she repeats everything she hears, which leads to some really interesting dinner table conversation. So she's very observant, but she's, a really outgoing and happy kid, and everybody knows her and is hopefully sort of fond of her. And they're used to her running around and being underfoot, and just she knows the town.
So I know, your backstory and all of its gory details. Now that the neighborhood or the other characters might know some of it, do you want to talk about what they probably would know?
Yeah, they would know that Serafina and her mom, Lysandra, moved into the ward about 4 or 5 years ago. They had been living in the 5th ward, which I believe is sort of the artisan craftsperson area, right? But you can correct me if I'm wrong on that. Her father was a blacksmith and a silversmith, and he made a lot of custom weapons. So he had a lot of customers among the snooty rich people in the city, but he passed away. So Serafina and her family moved to the 7th ward, and they opened their little shop. And it just so happened that Helga Kegbreaker, who was the town midwife, was looking, she wanted to retire. And so she took Serafina on as an apprentice, taught her everything, and she's taken over then as sort of the healer, the midwife. She helps with, when someone dies, she helps prepare the body for burial, that sort of thing.
So I asked some defining personality traits. Now I want to know what is going to make us irritated with working with Serafina. What is like her less glorious quality that makes her maybe difficult or...
Okay, do you want to know her vigilante difficulties or her daytime?
Maybe both, or either
Maybe both. During the day, like the Serafina that she shows to the world is probably a little hard to get to know. She's quiet, she's serious. You get the sense that she doesn't give away a lot. She protects that part of herself. Her vigilante persona, on the other hand, is pure chaos and is probably going to start stuff. Maybe even if the rest of the party is not quite there yet. And Serafina's alter ego is not conflict averse and definitely likes violence. So that may get her into trouble and the rest of the party into trouble.
All right. So one of the things with all of our characters is we've got 2 different personas. With Serafina, which one would you say is the mask? And which one is the real Serafina? Because you got, Clark Kent, his mask is Superman. But Batman, the mask is Bruce Wayne. So
wait. Are you saying Superman?
I'm saying that
Superman is Superman, but his fake identity is Clark Kent.
But
right?
no, he is Clark Kent.
Wow.
And Superman is the role that he plays.
This is what Hot Dish was meant for, digesting superhero.
You're wrong. Anyway, sorry. This is totally, but that's a great question.
That is
let's
great.
Table our discussion of Superman for another time.
Fair.
I'm more of a Marvel person than a
Marvel.
All right. That is an excellent question and something that I did not really think of. But my gut is telling me right off the bat that Serafina's daytime persona is the mask for sure.
Ooh.
And she doesn't know it. She thinks that that's who she really is. But that is very much a role that she is playing as opposed to who she is when she's vigilantizing.
Man, as GM, I'm like, this sucks. She's going to be a chaos monster. But as person who wants to put on a good show, that's exciting that you may do unpredictable things.
And I am the least chaotic person in this room, I think, probably. So it's going to be interesting for me to play a chaotic character. But
so
I don't
maybe
know.
Holly will be finding out.
Yes. Maybe this has been a mask all along.
That's right.
I don't know if we're revealing, the vigilante names at this point or if we're...
No. Let's keep on.
I would like to ask Serafina, what is her favorite place in the ward, in 7th ward?
Oh, time to break Serafina out.
Oh, well, I like the garden because it's peaceful. I can work with the plants and it's very easy to see what they need and to provide it for them. And I feel like I have a relationship with these plants, that the work that I need to do, they're there to help me and I am there to take care of them.
I have a question for Serafina also. What do you aspire to? What do you want?
Oh, well... There's an awful lot of suffering in the world, especially among the poor people and the elderly and children. And I just would like to be able to build my skills such that I can always be there for them and help them.
I have to say, I don't know, this is amazing. You've done a lot of work on this and put in a lot of thought. This is really cool.
Except the voice, which I literally just made up right now. Completely pulled it out of my butt.
Oh, you changed your hypermeter. You tapered it back a little bit. I was like, okay, it's subtle, but it's there.
Yep.
It's there, yeah. This is probably a nice reminder. Like, we don't have to talk in silly voices to create character. You can use your own same voice. Some of my favorite podcasting GMs don't change their voice at all. They just use different vocabulary or something. But as long as we're clear, I thought that was fun.
Great. How is Serafina like Holly as a player? What similarities do you have, or what really contrast differences do you have with her?
I think the feelings of responsibility as a parent, I'm constantly, even when my kids are not with me, at least, 30 to 40% of my brain is taken up with where are they? How are they doing? Are they okay? Do they need anything? What are we going to have for dinner tonight? That kind of thing. So I definitely relate to that aspect of feeling responsible for others, and maybe my needs get bumped down the list of priorities, which I think is something that Serafina would probably also deny that she has any needs. No, I'm fine. But yeah, that sense of like, I'm here to fill this role. I'm not here to be myself. I'm here to be a mother.
So I asked Serafina earlier what she aspires to. I'm going to ask you, Holly, what do you think is something that you hope that Serafina achieves by the end of this campaign?
Good one.
Well, when I was designing this character, I actually put some thought into, I'm going to get deep here, but the Jungian concept of the shadow and how we all have parts of ourselves that we don't want to look at, that we repress. And the goal in that model is to integrate the shadow into your conscious life and make it serve you as opposed to being controlled by it all the time. And so I would hope that Serafina would realize that her anger, her sense of injustice is something that she doesn't have to stuff down. It's an entirely appropriate emotion sometimes, and that she could get to a point where it's not controlling her. She is using it appropriately.
Ditch the mask.
Yeah. Integrate,
We've got a few more minutes. Let's talk about the actual construction of the character, the class, Oracle, and how you envision your play style. You want to talk a little bit about kind of why you chose Oracle and you hope to get out of it?
Yeah, so I wanted Serafina to have a particular relationship with death and with Pharasma, who is the goddess of death in Galarian. And so my first thought was, she'll be a cleric. But I thought, no, that doesn't feel right. That's too orderly and sort of normal and structured. So I thought maybe a witch. But then I just didn't see her having a familiar. And then when I looked into, I believe you suggested Oracle maybe as a possibility. And when I looked into that class, I thought, she's still a divine spellcaster, but maybe her relationship with the forces of life and death is a little more, on the gut level, as opposed to, I am going to dedicate my life to these issues. I haven't played an Oracle, so that'll be interesting. I'll be learning along with everyone else, but I kind of like that the Oracle the powers come with a curse, because that to me seems very...
Tracks.
It tracks with her character. It's very organic, and she would be, using these powers, but they would be harming her also. So.
Do you guys have any questions for maybe having how Oracle will play with your character?
Yeah, I guess I was just kind of wondering, is an Oracle a spellcaster? Is it somebody who's going to do a lot of damage? Is it a utility ability player? How does an Oracle play in combat?
Well, I think this is something that will probably come out when we are continuing to talk about everyone else's character and the role that they're playing. She is a spellcaster with the death domain or the life domain. She's got the ability to heal.
Which makes sense with the
midwife.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, she has the easiest catchphrase in the world, which is, I brought you into this world, I'll take you out.
Yes. Oh, God, you guys have to have catchphrases. I love it.
Yeah. See, anyone out there that wants to design the t-shirt, I am here for that. But I don't recall off the top of my head which spells I picked for her. But, a little of everything, a little buffing and debuffing, more of a support class, I think, than a real damage doer. But that kind of fits with her too. She, the daytime Serafina is definitely support class. So.
Be interesting to balance this chaotic nature of Serafina's nighttime version with the midwifery healing part of her.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Curious to see how it shakes out.
I'm excited.
Any more questions? That's going to be a hard act to follow. I
I
think
know.
you've thought a lot about this. So you answered all our questions. So I think I'm sort of blown away. That was great.
I can't wait to discover her with everyone else.
All right, next, I don't know, let's pick on Diana.
Pick on me.
Pick on Diana. Who's your character?
So my character is Kira. My character. Sorry. She's a kitsune.
Hero point.
Yeah, hero point. Start saving them up. I need them. Her class is investigator. Her background is detective, but she's going to be a rogue.
Oh,
she's
interesting.
a
Okay.
Sneaky.
Okay.
I mean, sorry. She's going to be a roguey-like investigator.
She's investigator, but not
Yes.
rogue. So the class
Correct.
is investigator,
Correct.
not rogue. Okay,
Sorry.
Cool. I know. I was like, what? You changed?
No.
Rewind.
She's
Rewrite.
just sneaky.
Well, tell us a little bit about her life. Like, what
Yeah,
does she do?
okay.
Where does she hang out?
Yeah,
Like,
fair.
What's her deal?
So Kira has a younger brother and she has parents, and they're kind of middle of the road family. Like there's really nothing special about her home life. And she has a job that kind of takes her around the district, either delivering mail or packages. And she's just kind of been able to be in these positions where she's coming in contact with a lot of different people. She's kind of that fly on the wall. She's just there to quick do her task and leave. So on first sight, there's nothing really special about Kira. She's the delivery service that drops off your mail and leaves, and maybe you'll see her next week, maybe not. But because she comes in contact with so many people and maybe different types of parcels or mail, she's privy to a lot of knowledge that she's learning to use to her advantage. And some of the things that she comes across maybe prompts action from her, in a way where she's privy to information that nobody else has, and she feels a deep sense of responsibility to do something about that information. So yeah, that's a little bit about her. She would be the equivalent of a 16 to 17-year-old teenager.
Okay.
And it comes out strongly.
So that's interesting that you're, I think a lot of times when we form backstories, we're like, traumatic event made me a character, right? You chose not to do that. Do you have any thoughts about that? I mean, I think it's
a teenager.
great.
There's
Yeah.
nothing more traumatic than being a teenager. But no, while we were talking about this, I think it's really fun to have a traumatic event that shaped who you are. But I think it was almost comical to me to not have that. Like, nope, there's nothing that happened. She's just average. There's nothing special. Because I feel like at times in my life I can relate to that. There's just nothing big, nothing bad, just doing your thing.
Well, and you say nothing big happened, but she's a kitsune. Has she always been that, or did it manifest? Or...
That's a good question. I haven't fully developed yet, and so that's one of the questions that will be answered in the campaign. Like, was she born a kitsune? Has she always been that? Is her family also all kitsunes, or is she the only one? So that's something that will kind of develop in it, but I don't see that being a traumatic, like you got bit by another kitsune, so now you're one.
So, kitsune comes from a Japanese folklore, yokai. I think I'm pronouncing that right. If I'm not, I'll try better next time. And it's usually, they can be good, they can be bad, they can be tricksters. Are you going to lean any of that into your character?
Trickster. I've never played something that was a race that could have different components. I've always played like an elf, a dwarf, maybe a half elf. So to play a character that can have a fox form and a human form is like way out of my realm.
Yeah.
But I just thought, first of all, foxes are adorable. And going along with the investigator, I thought the fox would have a lot of natural habits that would kind of lean into that background type deal.
Yeah, I think, this is a kind of a cool opportunity to workshop, make suggestions about how, Dinah, you can balance,
Yes, please.
those two. The thing that occurs to me naturally, we mentioned, bitten by, thinking about Spider-Man, right? What's cool about Spider-Man is that secret identity is sort of woven into him being a teenager, right? Like you have the secret side, this new self that you're discovering that you want to hide from your parents and friends. And there's no, right? Like he's playing with sticky webbing, stuff like that is very kind of built into that character. So I think maybe think about the kitsune, the fox part being secret from our family.
For sure. Especially with the vigilante persona at the nighttime.
Yeah.
If it's going to be something where she's in fox form a lot, that could be a really distinguishable feature.
Yeah.
And that's not something that she would want people to be able to pick up on. So that is still something to workshop. So you guys will get to know more during the campaign.
One other thing might be cool, and this is just spitballing, right? Like if her human form were secret from the rest of the party. Right.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
they'd be like,
They
these
don't
two.
know she's a human.
Right. Yeah.
Yep. Another one, you think of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
My brain is even cheesier, and it thinks of Teen Wolf, where this can be something that's new to you and it's a struggle, but then the parents can reveal, like, actually, this is kind of what's going on. And I bring it up because I think you, as a parent of a teenager, could definitely relate to the amount of, like, those parents could be like, hey, man, I've been there. I know what it's all about. And they could be like, you don't know what it's like to be a fox.
You don't know me.
Bloop. Box form. Yeah,
Diana has a 16-year-old daughter, so this teen is going to be very, very emotionally driven.
Just going to take notes, like talking to you.
Exactly.
Diana, you and I have talked from time to time about how much of our own personality ends up coming out in our characters. Can you talk a little bit about what you envision for Kira? How much of Kira is going to be Diana?
Oh, that's good. So I think Kira's going to be a little more defensive and stubborn. Well, okay, I take that back. Diana is stubborn. Kira's going to be a little more defensive, but I think there's going to be a curiosity that I share with Kira and underlying desire for like equality, for fairness that kind of drives her motives. And I think that there's going to be a little social awkwardness that comes out in every character that I play that I try to act out of. But just that we talked about this earlier, the moments where you think something, everybody's thinking it, and it might come out of Kira's mouth. And it's the faux pas that you're not supposed to say out loud, but Diana always says the quiet part out loud. So yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of similarities.
In every group, there's the roles. There's that leader role. There's the supporting role. Is it safe to assume, or am I wrong here to think that Kira is going to be the troublemaker?
Yeah, that's safe. That's safe. She won't be a leader. She might be the one that you have to make sure is with the group and staying with the group. And not that she's actively going to be pushing those boundaries, but maybe like, hey, this is a serious conversation. Let's keep Kira quiet. So yeah, the trickster.
As a follow-up, obviously like that sporadic troublemaking nature is there, but is there also something that like that there's such a level of dedication that she has that pulls her, like she could be mid-prank, but realizing, oh, this is against something that I care about. Would that switch the light switch from chaotic to dedicated?
Yeah, so I think she has this desire to kind of stay under the radar just because she's a teen finding herself. She doesn't really want to be part of the group in that sense. So I don't think she's going to be an outspoken trickster because she is just trying to kind of figure out her way. Did that answer your question enough?
I'm more looking for, and if this isn't baked up, that's totally fine. Is that you're pulling a trick. It's, oh, hey, this is another girl. This is, oh, this person's a person of the church. This person's your same age or goes to your same establishment of learning. What would be that one stop where they just go, oh.
What would be like a value or ethics drive that would like pull it back?
Yeah.
I think she is in the prime of her reckless time where it's like when the decision's made, it's acting it out, consequences later. Okay. And I think there would be some reflection on the decisions and hopefully growth when she does feel icky after a decision. But I think she's in the like prime of her impulsiveness. So I don't think there's going to be anything that stops her mid decision. I think it'll be more of a reflection and growth after.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, you talk about this character being a trickster, but you also chose the investigator class, which is like I envision in the game, like the detective, the methodical, cool assessor of crime scene slash. And I don't want to give anything away about the campaign, but it's probably fair to say that investigator is going to come up and your skills are going to be valued, you know. My question is like, that's really different from the trickster.
Yeah.
Like, how does this character become an investigator?
So one of the things that I was imagining was the same thing, like the monk detective that's in a room, bifocals on, looking for clues. Yeah. And I think that's definitely one way to role play an investigator. But how I more envision Kira is almost an accidental investigator. She's watching the circumstances in the world around her because she's trying to figure out her place in it. And in doing so, she finds information. She picks up clues, but it's not necessarily she's walking in the room and she's like, I'm going to figure out everything there is to figure out. I think it's more by happenstance. She's just very astute and she's got a high perception, you know?
Yeah.
So she didn't wake up saying, I'm an investigator today. I think it's just more what she passively picks up that makes her a detective, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And it creates an interesting avenue for maturity, right? Where she has this skill she didn't know she had, and everyone probably in the party is going to be like, oh my God, I didn't see that. That's amazing. You're going to be like, question for Kira, the character. Hey man, like, so when you're hanging out in the stoop, like, what are you doing like during the day? Like, are you just hanging out in the stoop waiting for a package? Like, you're hanging out with your friends? Like, what is it? What is it you're doing?
I mean, if my friends are around, then I'm hanging out with them, obviously. Mostly just kind of trying to earn money. So walking around asking people if they need help. But usually there's enough work that people find me. I don't really have to search for stuff.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Do people know about your services around
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's like common knowledge. I'm the best. I'm really quick and I can find stuff, obviously. But yeah, people search me out. And sometimes it's kind of like ongoing jobs, you know? So I know that every Tuesday they've got a delivery they need. So it's not hard.
Now, I've heard rumors that you're a pretty perceptive kid. Do you find like people's lost dogs and things like that? You know, do people ask you to like spy on other people for them or anything like that?
I mean, no, I'm not a babysitter, but like sometimes I know I saw a dog on the road. Yeah, people don't always ask me to like spy. That would be kind of weird and stuff. But mostly I just kind of, somebody says like, hey, have you seen a purse? And then I just remember like, actually, yeah, I did over there. Is that yours? So it's kind of like that.
How much of Kira is your daughter? Let's just air the dirty laundry. We'll make sure that they don't ever hear this.
Let's just
No. Actually, my teen Mia is so sweet, but there is that kind of drawl that like, why are you talking to me? But it's part of her business to interact with people. So she's not going to be like overtly rude and dismissive the way your teen might be to their parent. So she'll kind of have a little bit more customer service skill to be able to keep the business going.
I'll piggyback that. So what is the real world motivations for Kira? Like where did you pull influence from?
So I like playing characters that I can relate to. And just having been a teenager, I thought that would be like a fun character to play. I've played younger characters and I've played like more middle-aged characters. And I just thought it would be fun to play a stereotypical teen, especially with the fact that like she's got an average family. Maybe the only weird thing going on with her family is that she's a teen and that can be difficult. I just thought it would be fun to explore character building with somebody in that specific age group.
I'm going to bounce this question that I bounced to Holly earlier. Where do you hope she ends up at the end of the campaign?
So one of the cool things about being a young adult is the world is open to you. And when I look back at like myself in that age group, there were character qualities that were true throughout. Like you're kind of testing boundaries, you're trying different things to figure out what you want to do, who you want to be when you grow up. But looking back, there were those character consistencies that kind of defined who you were going to be no matter what you chose. So my hope for Kira is that she gets to find that path for her. Maybe she finds that she likes being an investigator and she finds a calling in that, but that she stays true to those character qualities that she has in her that she probably doesn't even know she has. So it's going to be kind of an awakening, so to speak.
So there's a real chance in this being vigilantes, we're going to end up in jail. Like we could very well, in the process of trying to help someone, do it in a way that is not in exact line of the law. Kira gets arrested. Is that the make or break or is that a motivator?
How do you know she hasn't been arrested before?
Bad question.
She might be very, very familiar with that.
So, okay, I guess follow-up question. What's her rap sheet?
Yeah. That'll be something you get to kind of explore along the campaign, but being privy sometimes to information and carrying sensitive materials might kind of put her in hard situations. So maybe she's got a tricky way of getting out of it because that's what she faces day to day in her job. Kind of like, I don't know. Yeah.
What's Kira afraid of?
Getting grounded. No, I think restrictions. Just being a prisoner, whether that life, like I never get to get out of this district. I'm a prisoner of my demographic. I'm a prisoner to my parents. I'm a prisoner to my own character defect. I think she's afraid of not getting to spread her wings and explore the world.
Cool. So being fox dog, are we going to see any dog-like characteristics?
There's no dog. It's just fox human.
Sorry, canine.
No, you'll have to get to know her fox form. Mentally, it's still Kira. So you're going to see a lot of the same driving factors, characteristics, fiery outbursts, which almost maybe makes it comical because it's an animal with a teenager personality, which seems kind of weird to see. But when she's in fox form, it's not going to be this careful, wise, it's not going to turn primal. It's still going to be Kira, just different athletic abilities, if that makes sense.
So yeah, I want to talk about the actual playing investigator. How do you see Kira's role in this party as an investigator?
I see her being able to pick up on supporting clues, so in battle, being able to recall knowledge and find things that will help her allies. Sometimes in battle, we get so focused on hit, bash, cast a spell. And I see her being able to provide more in-depth knowledge that will help them maximize their abilities to make just a more efficient battle, hopefully.
It's going to be interesting watching Kira come up with like the intelligence to navigate.
You mean Diana? Diana?
No.
Is Diana going to make Kira that intelligent?
But you know what I'm saying? Like Kira's going to be picking up the clues and putting the threads together, and like the rest of these are going to be a bunch of big lummoxes, ready to bash things. And you're gonna be like,
it'll be interesting.
Have we ever thought about, maybe the mayor is responsible for these, it's going to be fun watching and resisting fighting with a character to take over that.
And how, will there be times where she'll be able to avoid conflict completely because we now have information where we can sidestep a battle? I think sometimes when we play these games, roll for initiative, we're fighting. But are there times where we can use information or tools to avoid the fight? That would be really cool to play out.
Dude, it's a fighting game. No,
I know. Roll the dice.
Yeah, thanks, Diana. That's going to be, as always, your characters are chaos monsters, so that'll be fun. Let's hope our next player is going to be less chaotic. But before we go to James, kudos to you, James. We may sound smart asking all these questions, but James had prepared a list of us, possible questions we could ask each other.
Thanks, James.
The answers are all unscripted and smart, but the questions are totally James. The rest of us are just riding his wave. So James, tell us about your character you're going to be playing.
I'll be playing Bo Poncho, the Leshy gunslinger.
Just love that. All right, go ahead.
No, it's anyone that knows me well enough, like my characters are, one, don't follow a trope. I don't follow a build. They are far from optimized, which will probably get us in trouble, or at least get Bo in trouble. I want to play and experience something completely outside of anything I've ever experienced before. And that's why I picked the Leshy class, because I never got to play one of those. They're also got a lot of cool little elements to a Leshy where like their bodies are just, they're vessels. They're not a person. It's a thing that hosts the spirit kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that he's been Bo for question mark years in that vessel. But at some point, if the worst were to happen to that vessel, or just he needs to move on from what he is to something else, could effectively go with an entire another vessel and be another person and maybe be Bo or be whoever that new person is in that new body. And so it could be really fun to explore that aspect of a Leshy. So
yeah. Wait, you said the class, right? It's a gunslinger.
Gunslinger, yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. That's going to be so much fun.
I already have a question about that. As a Leshy, are you shooting metal bullets, or are you shooting thorns or something, plant-based?
Yeah. So James, the player character, is very, very averse to guns. And so to make this a place where I feel comfortable playing, there is a ability called, I think, seed shot or something to that nature. I'd have to pull it up in front of me. But yes, you actually fire your own seeds. And Bo, being a grape Leshy, would have his own little grape seed that he would either spit into the chamber or just have as part of the vines on his already arm to reload that gun.
Awesome.
And I think even later on in the character, like, you can enhance those seeds that you are shooting, and it pulls it away from the gunpowder shooting kind of thing.
Yeah.
He'll still have a modified gun of sorts that we'll dive into at some point, but I envision it being more of like a broken gun sword that he actually uses the power of his vines as like the tension to almost more slingshot a seed as a gunslinger. So I think it was a fun way to kind of go into a place where I don't feel comfortable. I don't like guns per se, but I think the gunslinger class really seemed like something new and fun and exciting.
Follow-up question, and this is, I'm trying to word this so it sounds as PG as I intended. Is there a limit to how many seeds you can project a day? Is there any kind of limit to what your body can produce?
I
Session 0.
I know, I mean that completely PG, but like, any kind of plant-based would have to have some kind of regenerative
Any insinuation anyone would take from that
exactly.
on them.
From a rules as written, I don't believe there is anything that says it's more about how many you could produce as an action or how many you could store up. So I imagine there'd be more like having a small pouch of yesterday and 2 days ago seeds ready to go for a moment's notice, because Because, yeah, narratively speaking, I like those kind of limitations. I would love to be like, oh, I already produced like 12 seeds today. Like,
Sure.
like this is the fall season. I'm not seeding like I normally would.
Yes.
My pustules are not there where I need them to be making this, so I have to keep a little spare stock on kind of thing. So, no, great question.
Just a little side note, as someone from the Southwest, we have these thorns that we call goat heads that are extremely painful. So I could see that being completely effective as a weapon of choice. But my question is, as someone who is anti-gun, which I totally get, can you talk a little bit more about choosing that class? Was it for the mechanics of it, or were you interested in exploring that conflict in yourself? You know, like, this is something I would never embrace in real life, but this is my opportunity to.
So I would say, me as a person, I understand them as a tool.
Mhm.
I have a gun in my home. Like, there is a purpose for it outside of identifying what's outside of the lethal capabilities that it has. So I would love to explore the idea of guns as a tool, as opposed to guns as a tool of death.
Right.
As a character, yeah, I would love to dive into the threaten first, or lay out the, hey, this doesn't have to happen, but, oh, now you force my hand. Now I am fighting for my life.
Mm-hmm.
Here is my tool to do so. So yeah, I think I'll have some level of conflict in it. I've also picked, and this might come in the character class questions later on, but like the Vanguard style. So that middle of the road, like, I will be making a choice between, should I shoot? Should I use the blade? Should I create a defensive middle ground to try to help the team out, kind of thing? So there's a lot of options, even though it's like traditional gunslinger, pow pow, blasting kind of thing. I kind of picked a more middle of the road with the gunblade style.
So when making characters, I don't know about you, it sounds like you're similar, where the first thing that you're looking at ends up being kind of like an idea from like the class and like the mechanics and that kind of stuff. But then at some point, there has to be that, like, what it is that kind of makes the character instead of just a build. What was like the kernel for Bo that is the, like, hey, now it's a character, not just a sheet?
This is going to be a lengthy answer. This is probably going to take my whole 20 minutes. To be honest right now.
Next question.
I'm gonna go get some to
You're
drink
a
here.
I know full well, like, any character I have, I want to have it like based in reality, so that anytime that I'm doing that character, the energy that gives me joy in real life, I can project out. I want to share that with all our listeners, with the people at the table. And so literally 98% of what Bo Poncho is comes from my daughter, who gives me more joy and energy than anything in this world. To the point, the name Bo Poncho actually comes from my daughter. So a handful of years back, we were watching TV and I'm like, hey, what do you want to watch? And she said, I want to watch Bo Poncho. And I'm like, what is Bo Poncho? I have no idea what this is. And I'm Googling, what is a Bo Poncho? Is this like a character on something? Like, I think at one point it came up as like a translation to some Ukrainian kids show. And I'm like, I think she has a Ukrainian teacher. Maybe it's that. No idea. She got pretty mad that she couldn't watch Bo Poncho, and I had to find something else for her to watch. A couple of days go by. We're having the regular just singing, dancing in our house, because that is a daytime, every day has to be.
Everybody.
Yeah. And a
As one
song from
does.
the soundtrack from Tangled comes up. And the first time in forever, I see the lights, kind of thing. And I'm hamming it up, I'm singing, and she gets furious with me and goes, Daddy, you're not Bo Poncho. And I'm like, what? What do you mean I'm not Bo Poncho? No, you're not Bo Poncho. You can't sing that. I blitz to our TV, turn on Rapunzel Tangled, and I go, who is this? And she goes, Bo Poncho. She is trying to say Rapunzel, but as a 3-year-old,
yeah.
R's, Z's are very hard letters to do, and she was still developing those.
Yeah.
So Rapunzel is Bo Poncho. So for the longest time, we always joked about Bo Poncho. She has a doll at home, one of those like 3-foot tall Rapunzels. I still call it Bo Poncho to this day, and she gets a little cheesed at me and lets me know it, kind of thing. But I always said, I'm like, man, if I'm ever like in that point that I'm going to make a really good character, Bo Poncho is the greatest single TTRPG style name I could use.
And it's like gunslinger name too. Right?
Yeah, it really turned out well. So she motivated that. I then took it to the next level, and every once in a while she'd come down to my office and I'd be working on something, and I was like, oh, let's make a character. So we jump onto like Heroes Forge kind of thing, and we started making kind of things. And Bo Poncho has evolved from like a shapeshifter to this and that. And eventually when I started reading about Leshies and I started showing her the book, and she's like, oh, I like this one. And I'm like, all right, he's a vine Leshie. That's fine. I then evolved it to like, okay, oh, well, what has vines? And I'm like, okay, well, pumpkins have vines and grapes have vines. She's like, oh, I like grapes. And I'm like, so cool, he is a grape Leshie now. And so every little aspect of Bo Poncho is some kind of conversation that I've had with my daughter it being a gunslinger had that's that 2% of it seemed like a cool class. I've never played it before, but everything that makes Bo Poncho is some funny anecdotal story with my daughter, and I want to bring that joy to everybody. So
Love it. So I'm guessing Bo Poncho does not have golden locks. My question is more about the personality of Leshy and Bo Poncho. So are there characteristics that are kind of stereotypical Leshy characteristics personality wise? And what does Bo Poncho kind of fit the mold with? And then what might Bo Poncho differentiate personality wise from your typical Leshy?
ooh, that's a great question. So I would say from Bo's perspective, Bo is very question mark, years old, like so old that you'd question like, how old is that Leshy kind of thing? And if you were a person around town, you'd probably be told like, hey, that guy's going to talk your ear off with stories of old times and being a kooky old man kind of thing. So I imagine Bo being, just that kind of individual that like, if you gave him a day, they'll talk until they can't kind of thing. And also that selflessness, like part of Leshy culture is not per se about family, but about the family you make, or at least that's how the book kind of explained it a little bit. And so the family you make, he would just die. And he's got, a backstory with a handful of different other Leshies that, he would die for kind of thing. And so I imagine there's a little bit of that in how I
It's really cool. I mean, I can't think of any iconic Leshy character. Any of these podcasts or games or APs, I mean, the closest is maybe Strength of Thousands or some in that. But this is really cool. Like, you kind of have carte blanche to do, create Leshy culture. My question was about sort of reeling us back into the character in Hammer City. Like, what does Bo do? Like, where would you find Bo and kind of how would you experience Bo?
You'd always find him either at one of three places. One would be the Le Lien, which is a kind of like a pasta shop, nice brick kind of building. You kind of tantamount to like an Italian restaurant here. And he runs the bottle shop that was effectively the storage shed for that restaurant that is in complete disarray. There's holes in the ceiling. But as far as a plant is concerned, cool, it's raining. That's wonderful. I would love to be rained on. Oh, the sun is shining through? Good. Let me get it on my vines, So while it looks completely horrible, like you could go in there and there's every possible wine bottle you could possibly imagine. And I'd like to think that the town would kind of see him as like, it's not the most luxurious wine shop you can go to, but he's a sommelier. Like he knows every single wine. He knows what's the right one to go with the right pairing. Oh, you're having this kind of event? You should go with this, stretch out the vine, grab a bottle off the floor, dust it off real quick and say, hey, this is a really wonderful port. You should have it at this time. Like it may not be the fanciest, but there's every range of what you need for that night, like to go to this guy. He's the guy.
Yeah, I mean, Hammer City's working class neighborhood. I imagine table wine, like the families would be like, oh, go get my wine. Would they go to Bo Poncho? Is that the appropriate place to go?
So the name of the shop would be Poncho Vineyards Bottle Shop.
Yeah.
Based off his original vineyard that he worked in and his namesake.
Yeah.
And you could buy bottles there, and it's being a Leshy, there's less about sleep, it's less about eating and anything like that. So you could go as long as he's not already working at the restaurant as their kind of proprietor to the wine or supplier to the wine, I should say, or doing some sommelier work for them. You could just walk over and grab a bottle on your way out, grab a bottle on your way in. Maybe it's 3 a.m. and nobody else is open. Like they'll just kind of wake up and be like, oh, let's get you some more wine kind of thing.
I like the idea maybe that people go to this restaurant because the wine is so good, because it's like a freaking grape Leshy is picking out the wine. Although it is a little weird. It's a little cannibalistic. I
was going to ask, is there a conflict there?
But that could be Leshy's like, oh yeah, here, have a pumpkin.
The whole point of fruit is that you want it to be eaten.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. You got to think like a plant.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's like shedding a skin for a snake. It feels good to get rid of the grapes, so there's kind of a regenerative healing process.
I know when I'm picking the extra abilities of the character, like that's something that if you pick a fruit Leshy, like that's part of it is like, oh no, you should really have my strawberry. It's going to give you X amount of hit points back kind of thing. So I envision a little bit of like, yes, he's not a fruit Leshy per se, even though he produces a fruit. He's more vine based for mechanics wise. But that's how I was kind of imagined. Like you're not thinking, oh, I'm giving you my flesh. It's no, these are just my grapes. They're great.
So, hey, Bo, I know you've been in Hammer City for a long time, but I mean, you came from these vineyards. What brought you from out in the vineyard to a mining city?
Oh, well, that's a long time ago. Man, what's today's date? Probably about 87 years ago or so. The grove that I stayed at, some bad things happened and it's a bit in disarray. And well, now we're just, we all went our separate ways and I just ended up here as the next available spot. And I met the proprietor of the shop here. Vol here that runs the shop and was a real nice fella, real nice lady.
Just a reminder, we're workshopping these characters.
Definitely, yeah. Definitely didn't look down the wrong line of relatable characters.
Be careful
And-
with your pronouns.
I know. I'll apologize to Vol later.
I mean, they're not as important probably to Leshy as they are to us.
But no, Vol was real nice to recognize my talents with the wines and all, and give me that little storage shed so I could have a job and help out the community.
So is Vol like an elf or something? Is it?
Oh no, Vol is I'm gonna murder the word of a Gorin. She's a human type, earth style elemental person. I guess we never really talked all about Shabbat about her history.
It's good. I'm like, here, then this is good stuff. I just remind, like, I'd love for you guys to create your own NPCs that fit in with yours so that I can weave them. Yeah, no, this is great. Please.
My knowledge of a Gorin, not in any stretch of educated here, just more of a quick thing I did. It's an elemental person from the plane of Earth kind of thing. I felt like literally his best friend could be dirt.
Yeah, that is good. That is good. Huh. Cool. I mean, we've talked about already your character build a little bit. Damage dealer. You had a question, Diane?
Well, it was kind of along those lines. What can we expect from Bo Poncho in battle? Is he, I asked this to Seraphina's character. Is it going to be the max damage, try to one-shot any enemy, or are there utility features that will kind of help support the group?
So it's kind of fun. When we started this group and we started pitching characters, my original vision of Bo Poncho was actually more of a song shooter, in that he would sing songs and boost that way, and then also be way backline and sniper. But as the group kind of came together, we didn't have a middle. So I kind of moved on. I was like, okay, let's see. Maybe there's something that a gunslinger can do. And yeah, the Vanguard is kind of that middle support here, fall back, do damage, move up, do damage, run some trips, run some intimidations, a real good jack of all trades kind of thing that should really be able to help the group. And it's also a play style that, while I was looking forward to, I've never played a backline character before. I am definitely in my element in a think about the battlefield, think about how we're playing in those spaces, and manipulating the battlefield is somewhere I would excel. So since I'm making a non-optimized character, at least I can optimize in, I know how to play those kind of situations. So I wanted to bring that to the group. But yeah, I envision him with Nate's character being upfront and Bash Brothers, Mighty Duck style kind of thing at some moments. Other times kind of falling back and like, oh, this person's down, get into the protector stance, or kind of finding a spot between both lines.
Before we move on, I mean, I just have one more question for you.
Yeah.
I'm going to shoot the same question I shot to Holly and Diana. I'm curious about Bo Poncho's growth. Like, where do you envision him or it ending up at the end of this campaign?
Ooh.
And you know what? Like, we don't have to have character development, right? And just as we don't have traumatic background, maybe Bo Poncho is just, Bo Poncho throughout the whole thing.
You can't teach an old plant new tricks.
Old plants don't.
In some
grow
ways,
branches.
Bo Poncho, just spitballing because you hesitated, but you could use something like that as the rock around which the party forms. Like Bo Poncho's, the good guy that everyone, hangs themselves on.
Well, I think, and we didn't really touch on the hero side of Bo Poncho, and I think
that's kind of a spoiler, though. I think that's going to pop up.
Yeah, I'll be general in the.
Not for the people by the time they're listening, they'll know, but for the other players, I think it'll be fun to see his change.
Should we leave the room?
Yeah, get out of here so we can talk about this on the dish.
No, I imagine his hero persona being a dichotomous relationship of just polar opposites of silly old man versus this person that has to rise to the occasion of why they're being a vigilante, why they're helping out their city, while they're doing all that kind of thing. And the 2.5 foot tall great man may not be the best hero of the moment. Hearing like, oh, we need to help this person's hurt. Hey, come on over here and we'll help you. Who would be like, yeah, that's the guy. I definitely want to. So I definitely want to explore that two sides, but like finding a middle ground between those two. And I think that's the Venn diagram of the best that Bo can be, is understanding that he's not just this, he can be more, and finding that level of confidence.
Yeah.
Where if someone came into his shop and was like, you're going to give me that bottle for 4 gold, I'd be like, well, I guess I'd only be losing a gold and a half on it, I guess. But you probably have a good night, so go right ahead. Like, he would have that kind of passive relationship where I think he could grow into a no.
I mean, it's setting up nighttime Bo to be a little bit unpredictable, or
I think Nighttime Bow, I envision for our anime grew like almost that over the top hero, that big kind of All Might style for those who watch My Hero, or for those that are in the Marvel universe, almost Captain America style. Like he understands to that very exact example I gave before is like he can't just be that little grape guy. He has to be something that commands your attention in the moment, can try to intimidate, but he can't do that. So I think that's where he'll find that.
Dude, I cannot wait. So let's move on to our next player.
Oh, I suppose that would be me as the only other person at the table.
So yeah, our last player, John. Tell us about your character.
Well, hi guys. So I'm playing a character named Marth, and kind of by association, another character called Arya, where Marth is a summoner. So that means that he has an Eidolon, however you want to say it. It's not like you do random summons in Pathfinder. It's here's your buddy. And for Marth, that's Arya, who is actually the soul of his older sister. Marth, there's tragic backstory. The orphan and the sister that's watching out for you. And then that sister's gone, but not gone because, protection. That runs real deep. So he's a fun guy. Here's the thing about it, though. It's the tragic backstory, yes, but I kind of talked about, what's that seed for the character? The seed with him is kind of a, anti-Batman, like a rebuttal to it. I'm sorry, but if Bruce Wayne sees his parent killed in an alley in front of him, he does not go and become super focused, badass guy. He becomes I need to find all the human connections I can to fill that void, or the barely functioning with substance abuse. That's just not the way it works. So that's a lot of what Barth is supposed to be. Is he's a people pleaser. He is trying to make everybody work better, trying to improve the community. He's doing vigilante to try and just help and protect everyone, and not in this fight evil way, but in a this is what I do to reconnect with people because that's what I don't have.
What does Marth do? How would you find him in Hammer City? What's his day like? What's his business?
There caveat that there's a little bit of that's still in development.
No, yeah, sure.
But in general, the way that Marth is going to work is he's what you would call basically like a community organizer, where what he does is he doesn't actually run any groups. He helps people organize, get together, and kind of mediate between them. Because there's a lot of problems in a city that particularly is run by a bureaucracy that does not care about that ward. So he's going to be kind of a facilitator kind of guy, the guy that knows everybody, can talk to everybody. There's a formalized version where he's the only employee of HC4, the Hammer City Community Center, I think was what I had for it. I'll look it up again later, where all the business associations or church ecclesiastic councils or whatever, they all kind of are part of it, but he's the one actual employee. So fun time.
So Marth sounds serious. It sounds like he's had some tragic backstory. John, as a player, every time I've played with you, you've always had kind of a comical side to your character. Is there a comical side to Marth or a comical side to his relationship with Arya, the summoning relationship? Is there any kind of joy that comes out or comedy, or is it going to be mostly serious?
Well, that's a great question. So first off, it's me. No matter how hard I am going to try and be the straight man for this group because, I've got a Aleshi, I've got Chaos 1 and Chaos 2, and then we have our other player, Nate, who is literally the I judge you guilty, black and white kind of guy. I'm going to do a whole lot of okay. But to me, I'm sure that there'll be comedy that comes out of him, whether I mean to or not. Oops. But this kind of goes to that anti-Batman thing that I was saying is that he's a straight man, but he's not going to be a dark, serious anti-hero. He is daytime persona, think older Theo Huxtable, the camp counselor, community nice guy, the hey, how's it going type of person.
I was going to ask about that. How is Marth? What's his personality?
Marth's personality is going to come out during the daytime, his personality is going to be very almost customer service-esque. There has to be that bit more genuineness to it because, people can tell when you're trying to be a salesman to him. But he's optimistic. He's trying to be just the good guy that understands and wants to help everybody to a fault.
I'll go with a two-part question. First part, so obviously there's some tragedy there's some loss. Is your Eidolon, almost a gut reaction to get something more into your life, to get somebody in your life that you know you can't lose?
Kind of. I more see it where it's the not able to let go, where, yeah, he's technically the summoner, but she's the one that's still there, the one that, like, can't stop. And that's going to be a big theme, actually, with the whole progression is, of course, Marth wants to help and protect and save everyone. He has a sister that was protecting him even after death. There are parents that, made sacrifices to ensure that kids are okay, but they're not around. So there's that kind of, generational thing that really will play into it.
So to add to that, will needing to resummon that Eidolon, obviously from a mechanical standpoint, you both go down at the same time, but you both come back up. Is there a level of trauma that comes with the loss of that thing that you are now effectively using as a compensation method?
See, yes, but I'm going to completely turn your question around.
Oh yeah,
on
by
you,
all means.
in that this is another big part that I wanted to kind of bring out with this is there's the orphan trope with the it's so awful and it's this tragic type of thing. But if you talk to people that actually is what happened, yeah, it is something that's in there, but it's not there all day, every day. This is their life. Times kind of move on and it's never going to be great, but it's not like they are, sitting in the dark brooding while staring out the window at the middle distance. And instead, the harder part for a lot of those people is the way that others treat them because of that, because everybody thinks it's the big, tragic, awful thing. So he's going to have to do a whole lot of let me manage your feelings of guilt for bringing up my tragedy.
So, sorry, the thing with loss, and I'll do this from my standpoint, with our Odd Jobs campaign, I was the summoner in that one, and I always imagine him losing his summon because he never actually summons, he's just been out for years kind of thing. The loss of that would be tragic. The loss of it a second time. Nobody gets to lose somebody else multiple times. That if your relationship is your Eidolon's relationship is based on a real person that you've already lost, and you're going to lose again, and you're going to lose again, that just speaks levels, and I'm really looking forward to exploring that.
It's absolutely. If you get to that deeper part of it.
Yeah.
Because on the outside, anybody that has that, they're going to play it off. Whatever, she'll be back. But yeah, it takes its toll. Don't you worry.
That seed is there.
I had a question about, how Marth views the world. He's going to be fighting, right? Is there hope in everybody? It sounds like he'd be that kind of guy that's
Yes. So Marth, very much, the idea is the world is harsh, broken place. Yeah. But the answer to that is fix it. And that's not, I'm going to take vengeance. That's why he's, doing community organization. He's doing, food drives or getting orphans into apprenticeship or whatever it is that needs to get done. Same thing, when he goes to do the vigilante stuff, it's because there are certain legal channels you can't go through because the people that make the rules are the bad people. So he's not doing it in a vengeance way. He's doing it in a this is what's needed to help everyone.
So I think community organizer as a background is probably pretty unique in the TTRPG world. And
Yes.
I think that's awesome because I think in a way, Marth and Seraphina are going to end up being similar in that they are trying to help the world make it a better place. I like the contrast between Marth sort of using the system, working within the system, whereas Seraphina is kind of working with universal things, birth and death. So how did you land on community organizer as his daytime role?
Well, I hate to keep going back to it, but I kept on thinking about even though I love and related with him, all the problems with Batman. The world would be so much better if Bruce Wayne was using Bruce Wayne to make differences.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the billionaire with charisma and incredible intelligence solve world hunger. Instead, we're beating up poor people. So that was where I started trying to think, what would somebody that truly was driven to fix things be doing? And that's kind of where it came from. If I go deep with it, he's going to have ended up in the orphanage. The orphanage is going to be stereotypical awful. So he works within to make connection and then ends up improving that place. And that's going to be kind of the spark for him of hey, I can expand this outward.
So Kira has a question for you, Marth. So what do you do in battle? How can you fight?
So that'd be nighttime. Well, we do a little bit of everything. Me and Arya, we're a team. We fight together. We're versatile. So something that I didn't necessarily mention before, I'm a fetchling. So my people, they have an affinity with the shadow. We're quick. We can move through the darkness pretty well. And we're going to a lot of times use that for kind of flanking back and forth, quick hits, move in, out. I can cast spells. Eventually, Arya is going to be able to cast spells. So if we have to be from a distance, we can. If we have to be up close, we can. But the whole point is to add a lot of quick hit confusion. I really like the idea of doing a lot of bleed damage, but I'm just getting started. I don't really know how that's going to work.
I'm kind of reluctant to pull us back from the character questions. We can return to that in a second, but I want to hang my mental hooks onto this character. And this is something we've talked about. Right?
Yeah.
Like I want concrete understanding of like what he does, where I'd find where he sleeps, like how he makes his money, things like that.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
You're saying community organizer, kind of just what is that? I have friends who've done it, but usually it's through like a nonprofit or something. They're pulling some grant money down. Like, how does this manifest in like a concrete way in the world of Hammer City?
So the way that I see it is that Marth has established what he calls Hammer City Community Care Commission. So this is going to be, if you've ever seen a community trustees board or like a physical council or something like that. It's the people, there's networking that they want to do. There's problems that they want solved that they don't want to do themselves. So this is the organization is what they all are part of, but he is the sole, like there is an office building that is him. And I imagine most likely a secretary. People will send their message boy in for the like, hey, we're having issues with zoning on this thing we're trying to do. What can you do to help? And she'll take those messages and then he will come in the daytime and he'll see these things. He will go out and he will talk to these people, try to give them like avenues forward, ideas for it. Other thing is if you have somebody that comes, hey, this union isn't working. We need to figure out how to like create something else. He's the guy that can be like, all right, here's kind of the steps like A, B, C that you should take to do that. He doesn't actually do it because that would be way too much.
Right. That was my follow-up question. Like, I love the idea, but we need to keep it simple. So just there's a bunch of us, right? Like, I feel like we do a whole show just on community organizing. But what I would strongly ask from you is maybe pick like 2-3 NPCs and create them that you would interact with in this way, and maybe 3 problems that you would solve. And I'm cool with organizing unions or labor or addressing things like that. But I would like, I said I want to hang my mental hooks on something. We don't want to have too abstract, right? We want to have like specific things you're doing in the world. Does that make sense? Does that sound fair? I don't know if you're there yet, right?
Kind of. Only that, I can come up with problems in your city.
Yeah.
If you want me to.
Give me 3 problems in the city. Yeah, for sure. I would love it. I want to have this collaborative building. Partly it helps me out, but this is your game as well, right?
Mm-hmm. Going to a role play aspect, it's really fun with a summoner that you're basically 2 characters at the same time. What is your split between the character was one voice? Is it 50% between the 2? Is it we have a shy holdback, we have someone that just talks the whole time and is the mouthpiece? Where do you envision that dichotomy?
It's kind of a 50-50, but by extreme. Like daytime Marth, outgoing, friendly guy, he's here to talk to you. That is a part of him. It's not fake, but it's an exaggerated part. Then, if you go to nighttime persona, yeah, he's letting all of that Serafina like vulnerability and maybe everything isn't always optimistic parts out. That's not who he is either. It's part of him. But trying to find where the actual guy is in the middle.
So of those, where's John?
Oh,
I haven't played enough games with you to say like definitively like here's where John comes out, but I don't think I'm alone at the table to think John's gonna be. I don't know if that's the nighttime, if that's the daytime, if that's area. Where do you envision that?
So here's the thing. That's really hard because not getting too deep into it, Marth is by far the most personal character that I've ever done. So he is real close to like where my reality comes from. No, I don't summon my dead sister, but it's there. So I've been actually struggling with the like, how do I differentiate the different borders between me and this character? How do I make it not just me hanging out at a table? So yeah, where's John in that? All throughout. Like you enjoy seeing me uncomfortable. Like
woohoo! Yes,
then
we can be the chaos agents.
I can just be the real chaos.
That's right. We can be the chaos agents in your life now.
See? Turn around. Something about fair play. Huh?
Yeah. I just want to go back to the character part of it. You will have a couple minutes here. Questions about how a summoner is going to play in this party? I mean, it sounds like pretty flexible role.
First off, I've never played a summoner.
Yeah.
So I got to kind of, hedge my bets on it. I think I know how I'm going to play him, but who knows? 4 levels from now, I might be like, oh, no, that's not how it's working at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's always going to be flexible. He's always going to be dexterity, fast, hide, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I like the idea of him like filling in whatever we need. If it's a tanky roll, we can do it. If it's a hang in the back roll, we can do it.
As a newer Pathfinder player, and this is probably going to seem redundant after we've played if this episode comes out, as a summoner, is Arya around only in battle, or is she around throughout the day and at random times? Like, what would prompt you to call and summon Arya?
So I've debated a little bit on this, where my feeling is going to be that from a mechanical point, I'm going to summon and dismiss between daytime and nighttime or extenuating circumstances. But from a story standpoint, I feel like Arya is always there. It's just whether or not Arya is physically manifesting to affect Marth's life. Otherwise, throughout the daytime, Arya's going to be there. He's going to be able to feel her. He might even be able to hear her. I haven't decided 100%, but she'll see everything from his point of view. I'm not going to Arya can't spy.
I'll talk from a mechanic standpoint. What type of Eidolon is Arya?
A protective spirit.
Protective spirit. Okay.
Yep.
Oh, that makes sense. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, another amazing character. It's interesting because a lot of chaos agents, you're going to be maybe the pillar in the middle, and then the philosopher.
The lots of mediating.
Yeah.
Which
Cool.
then I didn't get asked a question, but I was thinking about because you asked everyone.
Oh,
else.
yeah. Okay, let's
The
do that.
great part
Where do you think Martha's going to end up by the end of
is
this
that
campaign? We'll
what's
leave
gonna
out on that.
What's going to be a really important thing, I think, for Marth, if he's doing any growth, is learning you can't protect everyone. You can't save everyone. You can't fix everything. And that's okay. It's not a bad or sad thing. And that's going to be real hard for somebody with abandonment issues and a protective spirit that won't go away. It's going to be a real tough thing for him to ever kind of be like, oh, I didn't fix the entire city. Well, I did what I could and be happy with that.
Yeah. Do you ever see a time that protective spirit won't be around? Is that the growth? Is that the end?
Yeah.
That's deep.
Thanks.
Oh.
That's us, man. -20. We're deep below.
I'll keep playing until I find out.
You'll have to tune in to find out.
That's right. Woo! I do want to acknowledge that Nate was not here. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it. He's not feeling so good. Hopefully we'll get a chance to talk to him about his character sometime. He's got very interesting person. If you're listening to this now, you probably already know this. Very interesting character. So I am curious on what he's thinking.
We have to ask him who he thinks he's going to play.
Yeah.
So then we'll know if he matched it or not.
Right. Exactly. But yeah, that was excellent discussion. Thanks everybody for participating. That was amazing. Really pumped to get playing. If you're listening to this, you already know we are. So tune in our next Hot Dish. Thanks everybody.
Yeah.
Talk to you later.
Bang.
Bye.
Bye.